So Sam, continue on in our scenario, our hypothetical scenario. You've sold me. I've brought on the stormwater products, and now I've asked my junior sales guy to get in touch with you to get some tips. They're going out on their first sales call as far as stormwater products go. What kind of advice would you give to that salesperson?
It's pretty easy, Mario. As I always like to say, it's not rocket science, right? What are we looking at? And typically these stormwater compliance issues come up outside the facility. As David mentioned, yes, they can be inside, absolutely, but more often than not, they're outside. So what we're doing is, if you're at that customer site, maybe you're talking about spill containment for drums and tanks. What if we have drums and tanks outdoors as well, right? You have a storm event. What's going down that drain potentially? So I counsel reps to look at the drains, take a look at the basins, the inlets, and ask the questions very simply. If you're meeting with the environmental or safety individual, do you have stormwater issues? Do you have, sediment? Do you perhaps have oils or any chemicals going down those drains? And if the answer is no, which oftentimes it is, you're making them aware that it could be an issue, right? The EPA, the DEP, the stormwater officials, they're all out there taking notice now. And again, it's not just construction. They're looking at manufacturing sites in particular, large warehouses, car parks. I mean, anywhere where there's a potential issue with contaminants going down a drain or inlet. So it's really pretty easy. I mean, to point out, you've got multiple drains on site, look for any issues, look for any drums and tanks maybe in that area, look for oils perhaps going down that storm drain, and then you can simply offer a solution. Here's an easy fix. Here's the UltraTech drain guard as an example, or inlet guard, right? Multiple things that you can throw out at that.
So what I'm hearing is that the spill containment potentially gets you in the door, but then the stormwater is the additional, the icing on the cake once you've covered the spill containment side. Is that accurate?
It can be, yes, absolutely.
Mario, here's one piece of advice I'd give a new salesperson. You don't have to be an expert, because here's the deal. Your customers already kind of know what they're up against. If they're spiking on certain heavy metals, if they've got issues with sediment in their storm drains, a lot of times somebody's made notice of that, and they're potentially looking for some solutions. Or as Sam said, maybe that stage hasn't happened yet, but you did plant some seeds. So when that does happen, they're going to call you. So here's what happens when an issue for stormwater comes up, or somebody decides they need to protect their storm drains. They don't know where to get this stuff. So they go to the internet and they Google storm drain filters or heavy metal removal storm drain filters, and just whatever pops up, they start going down that path. But guess what? If you were in there and you introduced the UltraTech line to them a month, 2 months, 3 months prior, if they didn't have a need at that time, they're going to remember you. I can almost guarantee nobody else has called on them about stormwater filters. So you really do set yourself apart and highlight yourself if an opportunity comes up in the future as well. Mario, one other thing I want to mention, and so this is what I tell distributor salespeople every time I train them on our stormwater products. You can go online and literally type in stormwater fines Seattle, stormwater fines Boise, whatever it is, your state. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of fines that have happened in your local market for companies that just A, didn't do their stormwater permit correctly, B, got caught over the benchmarks and over the levels. So it is a very prevalent issue with your customers. They're getting hit from all angles, because not only do the municipalities and the states actually regulate it and monitor it, and somebody could say, oh, nobody's ever come looked at our stormwater, et cetera. Well, guess what? There's also environmental groups, which are basically attorney groups that go out and fine customers, your customers, all the time. They'll literally have a kayak with a Dixie cup when it rains, sitting outside of your concrete, plant, sitting outside of this guy that manufactures XYZ, because that's money to them. If they
Sure.
can prove they're not complying with those state permits and benchmarks, they tie them up in court, make hundreds of thousands of dollars. So your customers really are getting hit from all angles. We can help them mitigate those issues with all of our stormwater products.
It's a great tip.